All right, welcome everyone to the deep dive. So today, we're diving into Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Mhm.
Now, on the surface, yeah, it's this amazing magical world, but if you dig a bit deeper, you find some really powerful stuff about power, prejudice.
Oh, absolutely. And how choices, even small ones, can just spiral into huge consequences.
Exactly. It's fascinating.
And even though it's, set in this fantasy world, it actually gives us a great way to look at very real things, like how conflicts build up, how people change under pressure.
And how secrets eventually come out,
Yeah.
often painfully.
Yeah, often painful.
So that's really our goal today, isn't it? To pull apart these bits from the book, look at the conflict escalating Harry's whole journey, and how these massive secrets start getting uncovered.
Because understanding that stuff, even in fiction, conflict, character, how information gets revealed, it actually gives you, surprising ways to think about our own world.
Definitely. Okay, so let's get into it.
Well, the book just throws you right in, doesn't it? With Fudge, Cornelius Fudge, and his increasingly stressed out visits to the Muggle Prime Minister.
It's such a striking opening, almost darkly funny in a way.
Yeah.
This prime minister already kind of reeling from finding out magic is real years ago.
Right, and now he's got the Minister of Magic basically listing off disasters that are bleeding into his world. It really drives home that these two worlds can't ignore each other anymore.
Yeah, the collision course is set,
And you really see the Prime Minister struggling. Like, he wants a normal explanation, but Fudge is talking about bridges collapsing because of spells.
or hurricanes that just appear out of nowhere. How do you explain that logically?
You can't. It shows how we sort of cling to what we know, even when something completely wild is staring us in the face.
And the examples Fudge gives are pretty chilling. The Brockdale Bridge, that weird hurricane, these murders.
Right, the ones that clearly aren't normal muggle crimes. And then poor Herbert Chorley at St. Mungo's.
The Wizarding Hospital, yeah. It's making it very clear the magical world's problems are becoming everyone's problems.
And then Fudge finally has to say it after all that denial from the ministry.
He admits it. He who must not be named, Voldemort, is back.
The dam finally breaks. And you can just imagine the impact of that admission in both worlds.
For sure. And it gets worse, doesn't it?
It's
He
that.
reveals the Death Eaters, Voldemort's, in their
Dangerous followers, yeah.
broken out of Azkaban, the wizard prison. And they're flocking back to him.
That must have sent absolute waves of terror through the wizarding community. And imagine the poor prime minister trying to process that.
And then the Dementors. That's maybe the creepiest part.
Oh, definitely. These creatures that literally feed on happiness, they've abandoned the prison.
Yeah, and gone over to Voldemort's side. So they're not just guards anymore, they're weapons.
Spreading fear and despair, that icy mist. It affects everyone, magic or not. It's like a physical manifestation of the darkness spreading.
It really is. So inevitably, Fudge gets the boot.
Yeah, he's out as Minister of Magic, loss of confidence, basically. And Rufus Scrimgeour steps in.
A very different kind of leader, it seems.
So that whole opening just perfectly sets the scene, doesn't it? The stakes are sky high, the lines are blurring, it's tense.
Right. So that's the big picture threat. But what about Harry himself? He's got his own stuff going on, internal battles, suspicions.
Yeah, he's obviously still reeling from Sirius's death in the last book, just grappling with that grief.
Understandably.
And Dumbledore gets it. He talks to Harry, reassures him, says Sirius would be proud of how he's holding up.
It's a nice moment. Shows how important that bond was and how much Harry needs that guidance, especially now.
But even with the grief, Harry's got this fierce determination, hasn't he? He tells Dumbledore he wants to fight back, take down Death Eaters, even Voldemort himself.
He's not just going to sit back. It shows how he's growing up, facing this head on.
Definitely. And his mind is working too, trying to understand that prophecy, the one connecting him and Voldemort.
Right, because everyone sort of knows about it now, but Dumbledore makes it clear only two people know the whole thing, him and Voldemort.
Which adds another layer of, pressure and secrecy around Harry.
Absolutely. And that sharp mind, it gets focused on Draco Malfoy pretty quickly.
Yeah, his suspicion about Malfoy really ramps up. He starts actively trying to figure out what he's up to. Even uses the invisibility cloak on the Hogwarts Express to spy on him.
Classic Harry, really. Bending the rules when he thinks something's important.
And he overhears Malfoy talking to Zabini, trying to, suck up to Slughorn, the new potions teacher.
It gives Harry these little clues, these hints that Malfoy might be involved in something darker than just schoolyard rivalry.
And Harry notices Malfoy doesn't look right either. He looks sick, stressed.
Dark circles, pale. Like something's really weighing on him,
Hmm.
which just feeds Harry's suspicions more.
Then there's a room of requirement. Harry keeps trying to get in because he's convinced Malfoy is using it for something bad.
But he can't. The room just won't open for him when he suspects Malfoy's inside. Must be incredibly frustrating.
Totally. Building that unease. And this all kind of culminates in that tense meeting with Scrimgeour, the new minister.
Ah, right. The
Mhm.
Ministry wants to use Harry, don't they? Parade him around as the chosen one.
Exactly. Their symbol of hope, basically propaganda.
But Harry's not having it. He sees right through it.
Yeah, he refuses to be their puppet. His loyalty is to Dumbledore, not the Ministry playing politics. He even throws Fudge's failures back in Scrimgeour's face.
Shows his strength, his independence. He trusts Dumbledore, not this political machine.
He distrusts authority when it seems self-serving, you know? His focus is beating Voldemort, not being a poster boy.
Okay, so Harry's juggling all that. Meanwhile, Dumbledore starts guiding him through the past using these incredible memory dives.
Yes, the pensive. Dumbledore starts showing Harry Voldemort's history. They go to the Gaunt Shack first. Awful place.
Really bleak, isn't it? And you see Morphin, the brother, doing magic right in front of Tom Riddle Sr., the Muggle father.
Yeah.
Just blatant disregard.
Paints this grim picture of the Gaunts obsessed with blood purity, living in squalor, abusive. Marvolo the father is just horrible to his daughter Merope.
It's disturbing. Shows the poison of that ideology right there in that family.
And Merope herself. She just looks crushed, defeated, living under her father and brother's thumb.
And Tom Riddle Sr. rides by, handsome, wealthy. The contrast is so stark. Highlights Merope's isolation, the class difference.
It really does. It shows the inequalities within the wizarding world, too. Then the next big memory is Dumbledore visiting the orphanage.
Where Tom Riddle Voldemort grew up. This is crucial stuff.
Absolutely. You get these vital clues about his childhood. Mrs. Cole, the matron, talks about how unsettling he was.
Yeah, scaring the other kids, that horrible incident with the rabbit.
Billy Stubbs' rabbit, yeah. And whatever happened in that cave with Amy Benson and Dennis Bishop, it points to this deep-seated darkness, cruelty, control, even as a child.
Makes you wonder, nature versus nurture, right? How much was him? How much was the environment?
Exactly. And his possessions, just stolen trinkets from the other kids, shows that early possessiveness, lack of empathy maybe.
Taking what he wants.
And when Dumbledore meets him, young Tom is already cagey, manipulative, asking pointed questions about Hogwarts, showing interest in power.
You can see the seeds right there, the ambition.
This is chilling, like watching the origin story unfold. And then Dumbledore shifts the focus of these memories to the really big, terrifying secret.
Horcruxes.
Yeah. He shows Harry his own memory, a conversation with Horace Slughorn, and Slughorn is clearly distressed, regretting ever talking about it.
That immediately tells you this is seriously dark magic. Forbidden stuff.
So when Harry tries to ask Slughorn directly later on...
Slughorn just panics. Shuts him down completely. Huge red flag.
Yeah, he's terrified.
Yeah.
Which tells Harry and Dumbledore, this is vital, but Slughorn is hiding something important about Voldemort and these Horcruxes.
They know Voldemort used them to split his soul, hide pieces for immortality. But they need the details. And Slughorn's the key.
Which leads them to another memory, the one with Hepzibah Smith.
Ah, yes. The wealthy collector. And a slightly older, but very charming Tom Riddle.
And here you see his manipulation skills fully developed. He completely charms Hepzibah, plays on her vanity.
To get her to show him her treasures, including Slytherin's locket.
Which used to belong to his mother's family, the Gaunts. It's incredibly calculated, chillingly deceptive.
So that locket becomes a prime suspect for being one of the Horcruxes. It connects directly back to his Gaunt heritage.
And Hepzibah's house elf, Hoki, her perspective is interesting too. She's completely taken in by Riddle's charm, blind to his real intentions.
Shows how easily people can be fooled by a charming face, especially if there's already a power imbalance.
So these memories, they're absolutely crucial. They start explaining how Tom Riddle became Lord Voldemort, his background, his drive for power, his belief in his own superiority.
Understanding all his origins, his motives, how he made the Horcruxes, that's the key to finding his weaknesses, isn't it?
Exactly. It's the roadmap to defeating him. These memories are everything.
Okay, so the stakes are incredibly high. We're learning about Voldemort's past. And then things start happening fast in the present day. Actions, consequences, often pretty devastating.
Right, like the cursed necklace incident. Katie Bella gets hit by it, nearly dies. It's a sudden, brutal warning.
And Harry immediately suspects Malfoy, doesn't he? He remembers seeing that exact necklace years ago.
At Borgin and Burke's, that shady dark arts shop.
And Harry stopping Ron from touching it just shows how much he's learned about dark objects. His suspicion that Malfoy bought it to attack someone at Hogwarts. It seems really plausible.
So they try to investigate Harry, Ron, Hermione's. But Harry's conviction about Malfoy just gets stronger. He thinks Malfoy is behind all the dangerous stuff happening inside the castle.
Which pushes him to use the Felix Felicis, the luck potion.
A bit of a gamble, but he needs that full memory from Slughorn about the Horcruxes.
And it works. He finally gets it.
And the full memory is just... wow. Young Tom Riddle asking Slughorn how many Horcruxes you could make if splitting the soul 7 times.
7. A magically powerful number. It confirms their absolute worst fears about Voldemort trying to make himself immortal by tearing his soul apart.
But while Harry's making these breakthroughs, he also makes a huge mistake. Using that curse on Malfoy. Sectum Sempra.
Oh, that scene is brutal. He finds the spell in the Half-Blood Prince's book, uses it without knowing what it does.
And the results are horrific. Malfoy bleeding everywhere. Snape has to rush in and save him. It's a really stark reminder of the danger of unknown magic and, well, Harry's own capacity for darkness when pushed.
Yeah, the fact he didn't know, it makes it almost worse in a way.
Yep.
It shows how seductive that kind of power, that kind of knowledge can be.
And speaking of the book, we finally find out who the Half-Blood Prince is, the previous owner, the one who wrote all those notes, the spells.
Right, another layer to the whole story. Who was this person? Clearly brilliant, but also knew some pretty dark stuff.
Definitely adds another mystery. And meanwhile, Trelawney, the divination professor.
She keeps popping up with these cryptic warnings, including that really ominous one about a lightning-struck tower.
Yeah, major foreshadowing there. Clear sign something terrible is coming.
And Harry hears Malfoy celebrating in the Room of Requirement. He doesn't know what Malfoy's achieved. It sounds like a victory.
It just confirms for Harry that Malfoy's plan, whatever it is coming to a head. The pieces are falling into place, but the final picture is still terrifyingly unclear.
Which leads Dumbledore to decide. It's time. Time to go after a Horcrux.
Yeah, he takes Harry and leaves the school. They head to that cave by the sea, a really dangerous mission.
The journey to the cave, getting past all those magical defenses Dumbledore has to overcome. It's intense. Builds so much tension.
And then inside the basin with the potion, Dumbledore has to drink it to get to the locket they think is the Horcrux.
That's just agonizing to read. The potion forces him to relive his worst memories, causes immense pain.
But he does it. Shows his incredible resolve, the sacrifice he's willing to make, utter commitment.
Only for them to find.
Yeah.
It's a fake locket.
Such a gut punch. All that effort, all that pain, for nothing. Well, not nothing, because there's a note inside.
From R.A.B., saying he stole the real Horcrux and intends to destroy it.
Right, so now there's this whole new mystery. Who is R.A.B.? Did they succeed? It throws everything up in the air.
They return to Hogwarts, Dumbledore weakened, Harry disheartened, only to find the dark mark hanging over the school.
And chaos erupting. They get to the astronomy tower, and there are Death Eaters inside Hogwarts.
Which confirms how they got in. Malfoy fixed that vanishing cabinet in the Room of Requirement. That was his mission. That's what he was celebrating.
Harry's suspicions were right all along. Malfoy let them in.
And then Snape arrives. Dumbledore seems to be pleading with him.
And Snape kills him. Uses the killing curse.
This devastating. The most powerful wizard, the protector of the school, murdered right there by Snape.
It changes everything. The foundation just crumbles.
And the battle afterward, the Death Eaters trying to escape. People get hurt. Badly.
Bill Weasley mauled by Greyback, Tonks, Lupin fighting, Ginny, Neville, Flitwick holding their own too. It's chaos.
And amidst all that horror, you get that quiet moment where it's revealed Tonks loves Lupin. A little bit of personal tragedy woven into the larger war.
Yeah, it's poignant, but the main feeling is just uncertainty. What happens to Hogwarts now without Dumbledore?
And Harry makes that incredibly hard choice to break up with Ginny.
Trying to protect her, knowing that being close to him puts her in terrible danger. It shows how much he's grown up, taking that responsibility.
Even Scrimgeour tries one last time, after Dumbledore's funeral, to get Harry on the Ministry side.
Still trying to use him, still underestimating him.
But Harry's path is clear now, isn't it? He knows what he has to do.
Absolutely. He tells Ron and Hermione he's not going back to Hogwarts for his 7th year. He's going to hunt down the rest of the Horcruxes.
Find them and destroy them. That's the only way to beat Voldemort.
And Ron and Hermione, without hesitation.
They're with him. We're with you, whatever happens.
It's such a powerful moment. That loyalty, that friendship in the face of just overwhelming darkness and danger. That's the real magic, maybe.
So, wrapping up this deep dive into Half-Blood Prince, wow. We've really seen The wizarding world darkens significantly. We saw Harry deal with loss, but come out so much more focused, determined.
Yeah, and we finally got into Voldemort's backstory, his origins, this obsession with immortality through the Horcruxes. Super disturbing stuff.
And it all culminated in that absolutely tragic climax, Dumbledore's death, which just reshapes the entire landscape of the war.
The moments that really hit home, I think, were seeing how Voldemort's past directly shaped his evil actions.
Definitely.
Figuring out the Half-Blood Prince connection, that chilling prophecy about the tower finally coming true.
Right, the lightning-struck tower.
And of course, that shocking betrayal on the tower itself. Snake's betrayal.
And it leaves us with these huge cliffhangers, these massive questions. Who is R.A.B.?
Yeah, what happened to the real locket? And where are the other Horcruxes? What even are they?
And how can they possibly win this war without Dumbledore? It seems almost impossible.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Whether you're looking at wizards or just challenges in our own lives, how important is it to actually understand your opponent? Not just their strengths, but their weaknesses, their history, their motivations, even someone who seems all-powerful.
That's a great point. And maybe think about this too. What's the real price of chasing immortality or ultimate power? What gets sacrificed along the way? Is any goal worth that kind of cost, the kind Voldemort was willing to pay?